5:32 p.m. Madam Clerk, please take roll call.
Dave Abdallah,
Here.
Hassan Ahmad,
Here.
Mo Beydoun, Nancy Breyer, Robert Constant, Ray Muscat,
Here.
and Tom Wenzel.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you do have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
Next up is our Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to have you lead us, and then you can give your name to Georgia right after. Margaret.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Full name for the record?
Margaret King.
Margaret King. Thank you very much, Margaret. Much appreciated. Next up on our agenda is agenda approval.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the agenda for the special meeting of July 25th, 2023 as submitted.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Muscat. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is public hearings and comment on agenda items only. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on agenda items only? See none. Next up, any comments from anybody on Zoom? I don't see any. Okay. Next item on the agenda is members of the public comments. First of all, from council members. Any comments from council members? Any announcements?
Let the record reflect that Councilman Beydoun is here.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, any announcements from administration? Okay, any public comments? In the audience? And on Zoom? Okay, next up is a closed session. Mayor Bazey, Chief of Staff Hernandez, Corporation Counsel for INHA, Carlito H. Young, RSJ PC Hashem versus Dearborn Heights.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council move a closed session at 5:36 p.m. So that the city council may discuss the legal case of Hashem versus Dearborn Heights, which may include Mayor Bazey, Chief of Staff Hernandez, Corporation Counsel Farina, and Carlito H. Young of RSJ PC as outlined in 15A.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilman Ahmad. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can please take roll call?
Dave Abdallah,
Yes.
Hassan Ahmad,
Yes.
Mo Beydoun,
Yes.
Ray Muscat,
Yes.
and Tom Wenzel.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
You're
For those in the audience and on Zoom, we should be probably about maybe 20 minutes, give or take, maybe we'll add a few minutes or so. We'll be going into a closed session and then come back and start our regular council meeting. Okay, thank you very much. Very much.
Recording stopped.
You have to go?
Recording in progress.
Or 2 weeks in a row.
Gotta behave ourselves.
Okay, we're back from the special council meeting. Councilman Muscat, please go ahead.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council return to open session at 6:17.
Support. Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilman Baydoun. Any discussion on that? Hear none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is our placeholder, which is action to be taken on the closed session that we just had.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that City Council concur with Carlito Young, the attorney, and go with his recommendation in the pending lawsuit of Hashem versus Dearborn Heights.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscat, seconded by Councilman Baydoun. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair,
Councilman Constant?
to avoid the appearance of impropriety, I recuse myself from this vote.
Okay, Councilman Constant has been recused. Any other discussions on that? Hearing none. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Or do you want to take a roll call, Madam Clerk? Roll call? Yeah, do a roll call, please.
Ready? Tom Wenzel,
Yes.
Ray Muscat,
Yes.
Mo Baydoun,
Yes.
Dave Abdallah,
Yes.
Hassan Ahmad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
At this particular point, we're gonna adjourn the special meeting and then start our regular meeting.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
motion to adjourn the Dearborn Heights City Council special meeting,
Second.
6:18.
Motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilman Ahmad. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The special meeting is being adjourned at 6:19 PM. Okay? We're gonna take, for those in the audience and on Zoom, we're gonna just take a 1-minute break just so that we can have a little break so they can start their video all over again and then get started with the next meeting.
Recording stopped.
Form? I like it.
Recording in progress.
Which one are we on? It's a regular meeting. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council. It is right now 6:21 PM and the meeting's being called to order. Madam Clerk, please take roll call.
Dave Abdallah,
Here.
Hassan Ahmad,
Here.
Moby Dun,
Here.
Nancy Breyer is absent. Robert Constant,
Here.
Ray Muscat,
Here.
and Tom Wenzel.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
Next up on our agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance, and this one's going to be led by our police officers, chief, and director. All of us, all the police department.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, officers, police department, chief, and director. Next up is before we go to agenda approval, our chief asked they'd like to have a word to people in our audience and on Zoom, please.
So folks, I use my police voice here as I walk up to the podium. The last few meetings have been becoming increasingly more hostile,
Chief?
right?
I'm sorry. to the mic.
Increasingly hostile and very personal, right? And I know it's very easy to say sticks and stones, right? But do some tactical breathing. It's what we do when people are engaging in things that we don't want them to do. Take some deep breaths in, slowly let them out. We're not going to have any trouble here tonight. It should disturb everyone in this audience that we have to pull police officers off the street and hold them over on overtime for a city council meeting. Okay, we're better than this. Be kind to each other. We can all disagree politely, okay? And that's okay. But I don't want to take anyone out of here in handcuffs tonight. In fact, I won't, they will. And I really want to avoid that, okay? So I'm imploring you to please be kind to each other, peacefully disagree with each other, and let's have a good meeting. It's a short agenda. Should be out of here by 7:30, right, Council Chair?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
Thank you, chief. Okay. Thank you, chief. Appreciate it. Next up on our agenda is agenda approval.
Council Chair.
Councilman Ahmad.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the agenda for the regular meeting of July 25th, 2023, with the addition of item 9A, reopening of bank accounts from treasurer Lisa Hicks Clean as submitted.
Support. Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Baydoun. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the minutes of the regular meeting of July 11th, 2023 as submitted.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Baydoun, seconded by Councilman Ahmad. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is item 4B, minutes from special meeting on July the 18th.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the minutes of the special meeting of July 18th, 2023 as submitted.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Baydoun and seconded by Councilman Constant. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is public hearings and comment on agenda items only. You will have 2 minutes. I will first allow people from the audience, and right after that, we'll go to people that are on Zoom. When you do come up, I know the chief has already spoken of this. I'm just gonna be honest. I tried the nicer route, allowing people to speak, giving people chances. I'm not gonna do that this time. So this time, the first commotion, I'm gonna be straight up. You're out. So please respect, please say what you want, but in a respectful manner. You start yelling, screaming, throwing stuff, swearing, punching, pushing, whatever you want to call it. I'm done. And then the chief takes over, chief and his team take over. So I'm making it very clear. There will be no second chances. Nobody come back to me and say, you know, you kicked me out the first time. There will be no second chances. Please go up, speak your mind, no problem, freedom of speech, but no second chances, and I mean it. I'm dead serious. Okay,
Council Chair, can
Councilman?
we also add kind of what the chief said? This should be a very short meeting, no more than till 7:30. Let's enjoy this nice 90-degree weather, even though it's, you know, you got all the fires coming from Canada. Let's just, all right, no talking. Vince said it.
All right,
Council Chair.
Councilman Constant.
And
Love you,
I think
Vince.
our council chair does an excellent job running the meeting. Speak through the chair and no personal attacks. Thank you, Council Chair.
Okay, you're welcome. So let's go ahead and start. Anybody in the audience that has a public comment on anything on the agenda, you will have 2 minutes. Please come on up. Wow, popular agenda. All right. Next up on Zoom. Anybody on Zoom that would like to comment on any agenda items?
Nobody, Council Chair.
Seeing none? Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Next up is our fund transfers and current claims.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve current claims and ACH wire transfer 661 through 661 as submitted.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Constant. In discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is item 7A, consideration of bids by city engineer Dib.
Council Chair,
Councilman Ahmad?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council award the bid for the asphalt street pavement repairs program for the Gulfview subdivision and other repair areas located throughout the city to S&J Sealer Company as the lowest bidder and authorize the comptroller to return the bid bonds to the unsuccessful bidders. In addition, authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the contract on behalf of the city. Furthermore, authorize the mayor and comptroller or clerk to sign the necessary warrants and the treasurer to issue payment not to exceed 190,800 from the local street GL 202-203-880-500 as outlined in 7-A.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmed and supported by Councilman Baydoun. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair.
Councilman?
I went through this packet. I'm not gonna lie, I should have maybe reached out to Mr. D, but can we get a quick synopsis on this right here? And maybe you could tell us, will this just be patching or will this be actual entire street removal, paved back? Thank you.
Hello, Councilman. The project consists of milling and capping. It's not the entire subdivision, not for 150 or 180.
I was gonna say, 'cause that's a good deal.
No, it isn't. The entire subdivision was not built at one time, so we have some sections that are really bad where the curb and the pavement are in such bad shape. So that's what this project is addressing. East side, where the cul-de-sac is, and the entrance off of Ford Road are the worst section. And again, this is limited to
Off of
asphalt.
Ford Road?
Off of Ford Road, Gulfview.
Warren. I mean, Warren.
Gulfview.
Gulfview. I'm thinking Gulfview Manor. I'm sorry.
Off of Ford Road, just north of Ford Road.
Yes.
And so that's the main entrance to off of that, Ford Road. And that section is in pretty bad shape.
It's
So
terrible.
the asphalt side is being done. The other entrance, so by Cherry Melt, that's concrete. So again, I'm not sure why it was built that way, but we have some areas in the city that are just asphalt.
Will they
And that's
patch
what
up
this-
even our, the alley? And that, I know that's always been an issue to those businesses, and I think I've called you on it a couple of times, but it's in that subdivision. The business that's in it.
No, so if you notice in that proposal, I put in a $45,000 owner's reserve to address smaller sections of asphalt that we have that are too small to go out to bid, because to mobilize and get
Yeah.
equipment for, a small section is really not cost effective. But when you do have large projects like this, I consider it large, 100,000, 200,000, then you'll be able to do like patching elsewhere. So we do have possibility, and I have a couple Elon Court that we talked about.
Yeah.
There's also asphalt. So we're trying to track these separately from the concrete and then do them all at once.
There is a lot of holes right behind the barber shop there, the Terry Melt. I think there's
I
a
saw that.
bakery there.
There's a gas
There's a
station.
huge hole between the gas station and the barber shop
saw
there,
that.
north of Ford is really bad hole.
Right.
And the street that you're mentioning I drove it. It's bad.
Yes, sir. I know.
Yes.
I know. And again, but it's not built consistently. So some sections of that street are actually concrete.
Right.
So I don't know why it was built.
True. I know,
Yeah.
right when you're pulling into the term out, it becomes, yes. My next question is, and I know that, are we gonna have the oversight? Is making sure that while we're seeing these contractors that are working this company, I think this is the first time we've approved of them.
Yes.
We'll have the oversight on
Yes,
that, correct?
because of the difference in price, because if you notice, the rest of the bidders are grouped closely together, and that one bidder was low, we
Yeah.
actually had to interview him on site to make sure that he understands what's going on. I mean, I don't mind low bidders as long as they can do the work. They do understand the project. They're willing to do it for that price. We will provide oversight. We went through every item from repairs to curb to milling and capping, what kind of material, source of material. As a matter of fact, he's buying his product from Nagel, the next bidder. I don't know why they must be paying their workers less, but he is a low bidder. He understands the work.
Thank
You
you.
know, we save money.
Councilman Muscat is next.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't call you earlier.
Please. No problem.
But previously we had, Lewis Manor subdivision done a few years ago before your time.
Okay.
And every time we have something like this done, we get the complaints of, I've never had water sitting by my driveway. Now we got water sitting there. The curbs aren't high enough. I just want to make sure that these guys, I don't know if they still use transits to level things off. And because obviously some places, somebody doesn't do their thing. Okay.
Transit were my age, but now they use lasers. So
Or laser,
they
a laser transit. Yes.
use laser line so bird bass is what you're referring to.
Yes.
And if what we usually do is we try to address, short of full reconstruction, the best you can do is to take, so in this case, we're replacing the east side curb because of that issue, because I've noticed that elevation, I'm not sure if it's settled or it was built that way, but we're trying to address it the best we can. Because if I wanted to go and replace the entire subdivision, you're looking at a multi-million-dollar project.
Yeah, I understand.
But we are going to do our best not to have any pounding water afterwards. We'll take care of it.
And one other thing that may or may not be related to this, as I come into City Hall, I see a lot of cement work being done on Fenton.
Yep.
And I look at the street and I say, wow, they're fixing this, but there are other streets in the city that are 100 times worse than this.
Please understand something on the 4th of July, that one day on Tuesday, when I came in the next day, we had a sinkhole in that section. It actually sunk. So that was the reason why it was considered an emergency. Sinkholes are dangerous, not only for traffic, but I don't know what was going on underneath it. So I didn't know if it was a collapsed pipe, but the pavement was sunk. We have pictures of that.
Did we fix whatever was underneath?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But it was considered, it wasn't on the plan. It was immediately addressed because we have 3 locations on the 4th of July throughout the city that one is still with us now on Gully. The sinkholes developed where sections actually sunk in the pavement.
I would like to point out to the audience, I've had multiple conversations, some emails, et cetera, with Mr. Dibb and the administration and the mayor. And I do want to let you know that the mayor's department is on the fact, and it is on their radar, that there's a lot of streets that do need work. But I do want to point out that, some of these streets have not been done in many years. And yes, we'd love to do a magic wand and just redo all the streets. But needless to say, as Mr. Dibb just mentioned, it's in the millions whenever you replace a street with asphalt. So keep that in mind. There's only so much that can be done per year. And there is a company that was hired by Mr. Dibb and approved by the council that's assessing the city as a whole.
Right.
If you want to maybe mention a little bit about that, if you don't mind, Mr.
Yes.
Dibb.
So we've done a street rating, Pacer rating for the entire city. And then so we have a list of what streets, what sections of what streets on the map are green, yellow, red, and what ratings they are. Not only because we need that for planning purposes, but we also, so we can use our budget wisely. So it is, we do have limited budget. So, I mean, I can go and spend all my budget on 2 streets, just so, not even 5% of the entire city. But so what we try to do, sectioning, is to bring up address the worst streets first. Obviously, safety is number one. So if we have sinkholes or things that are dangerous, they get immediate attention. And just like Fenton, because that wasn't on any list, it just happened, so we addressed that. And then the next will be the planned replacement, end of useful life and the replacement. Third will be, and I'll be talking about that shortly, trying to find alternative funding source to the $2 million that we get annually, because they do not go very far. Our city needs far exceeds our budget, and so we're trying to do the best with what we have.
Right. Okay. Also, thank you, Mr. Deep. Oh,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Mr. Deep, I don't know if I understood this correctly. Is it the work going to be done within 30 days from signing the contract?
Actually, this gentleman indicated he can do the asphalt in 2 days.
Really?
Huh?
Great.
Asphalt is not bad. Milling cap is not bad. Milling cap, barring any surprises, because we have no record as to how that subdivision was built and why it was patched of concrete and some asphalt. But based on what we saw, it's not that difficult. No.
So hopefully no surprises, huh?
No, it's doable. It's doable. I'm not going to do Michigan Avenue in Dearborn, all summer to do milling.
What
cap.
happens if
That's
they
crazy.
get down and it's all gravel underneath?
No, we busted a couple areas, and you can see the only ones I'm not sure about is the concrete. Why would anyone pour sections of concrete in asphalt area, and for what reason? So I'm going to mill up to it and then replace the asphalt. The concrete's still good.
Okay, let's go ahead and take this to a vote. Motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Baydoun. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 8A, disposal of items at City Hall.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the disposal of the following items from the basement at City Hall: 14 chairs, 2 metal desks, 2 mini fridges, 1 wood desk, 10 boxes of old phones, 36 boxes of jewelry boxes, 3 large televisions, 3 old projectors, and 1 old candy dispenser, and 1 projector screen as outlined in 8A.
Support. Okay, motion made by Councilman Constant and seconded by Councilman Baydoun. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 8B, execution of the contract for the demolition of the Van Houten Park Playscape.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that Dearborn Heights City Council authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement with Tomasi Cement Company for the bid awarded to this company per motion 23-308 as outlined in 8-B.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Baydoun. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair.
Councilman?
So I just want, for the record, I had a resident reach out to me, and I believe the treasurer over here, that there was a wasp, a beehive inside one of somewhere inside the park at Van Houten Park. Her child was stung. She reached out to me yesterday. Thank God the child is okay, no allergic reaction, but maybe we can reach out to our Parks and Recs director and they can look into potentially checking the rest of our parks, because in no way possible do we want to make sure that our children are protected. And in no way possible do we want to hear that this is happening again. That is my first thing. My second thing is I've also had some conversation with just some of my friends and from the county, and they have also said that we have close to $300,000 that we still have not spent on Van Houten Park, and it's been a little well over 3 years. We just have to give them the plan to be able to spend the $300,000. So maybe she can speak out on this a little bit. But from what I was told, we have close to $300,000 from Wayne County. They haven't allocated to us. They've signed on it, but they haven't dispensed it yet because nothing has been submitted on that.
That is not the case at all. I have both the contracts. We have $118,000 that goes towards Van Houten Park. And then we also have $44,000 that I'm working on for the marquee at the Canfield Center. All of the contracts have been done for both of those projects. All of the money you guys approved and accepted. So I do have the council motions for both of those.
What about
We
Central Park?
I'm sorry?
Central Park, the one right next to Elite Sports.
Correct. That's our marquee though, out front. The
Okay,
old one
that's
that
what
we
might be
have, we're
used for?
finally able to replace that, which we have to. It's broken. It doesn't light up. I can't get employees to change the letters because they hurt their necks.
Well, I just want you to know, I spoke with our commissioner and in detail, he says that there are still remaining $300,000. So,
There is not $300,000.
okay,
Okay.
maybe I'll.
I have the contracts. I can show them to you if
Okay.
you'd like.
I would.
And on the Central Park, you're saying the 45,000 is going to be used for the marquee only?
It's for the marquee, yes. It's going to be a digital marquee and they're pretty expensive now. So
Okay, but I'm saying,
it also needs electricity and things like
but
that.
who decides that it goes to the marquee only?
Well, you guys approved the contract when I brought it to you. That is the highest priority that we have right now. That's one of the biggest ways we advertise our programs and our events.
Okay, I just want to say for the record, if I did vote on that, I made a bad vote.
You did.
I did. Then I made a terrible vote and I wish that we would have spent $45,000 to fixing our parks so that our children and the people of our community can continue
And
to use
that's what we're working on. For years, they've been let go. For years.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm playing catch up basically and with not enough money.
By the way, I just want to make it for the record. I am this.
No,
is
I
not towards you.
understand.
This is just me. I'm actually calling
Yeah.
myself out. And the rest of this council here, if they voted on it, they've also made a mistake. And I'd
Yeah.
love to rescind that vote because the $45,000 on signage. I mean, it's great to market that we're going to be doing, things in the park, but I want
And
my
we
son,
can't
I want my daughter,
advertise.
I want my family, I want kids to use this park, not
Mhm.
worried about reading the sign.
Well, we can't advertise our programs. People don't come into the parks for the programs either. So I mean, it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
So
Is there a way we can maybe relook at that?
not at this point, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Before you vote, I'd like to add one more
Go
thing.
ahead.
So I was reviewing that contract and there are a couple items that we need, I like you to consider authorizing the signature, pending a review of Corp Council. So I like the Corp Council to review it before we actually sign it. So if that's possible to include that
Yeah,
in your,
we can
in your
amend that.
motion.
Okay. So motion was made by AP. Councilman, can you go ahead and amend it, please?
Definitely. So I go ahead and amend the motion to be approved after the review by an approval of Corp Council.
Okay, and second?
You are.
I'm not gonna stop.
Second. Okay, this is for Van Houten Park Playscape.
Yes.
To be clear.
Yes.
Okay. Second. Okay, so motion made by Councilman Ahmad with an amendment and seconded by Councilman Wenzel. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Robert Constant,
Yes.
Ray Muscat,
Yes.
Hassan Ahmad.
Yes.
Moby Dun,
No.
Nancy Breyer,
Yes.
Dave Abdallah,
Yes.
and Tom Wenzel.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Next item on our
Council Chair.
agenda, this has been added on, and the reason it's been added on, because there was discussion back and forth between administration, our treasurer, and our director from the police department. And I'm gonna go ahead and have somebody go ahead and read the motion. Madam Treasurer, if you don't mind, if you could step up, and then also the director, maybe just in case some council members had some questions.
Council Chair.
Okay, Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the reopening of the following bank accounts that have been closed per direction of Council Motion 23-235. Confiscated drug monies from state, local level, account ending in 7460, and federal forfeiture from general government account ending in 5559,
As outlined in 9A.
as outlined in 9A.
Okay,
Second.
motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilman Ahmad. You mind, Madam Treasurer, if you could just give a briefing on that, and then Director, if you don't mind, you could just give us a little briefing. And the only reason I'm having the Director and the Treasurer give a briefing on this, because this was added on the agenda, and I just want to make sure the audience and the council members have the they do have the backup via email, but just in case they had questions. But
All right, thank you. So just to give you some of the back history on this, on the May 9th, 2023 City Council agenda, there was an item for closing bank accounts phase 2. And we had cautioned against closing 2 of these in particular, actually more than 2, but the 2 that we're talking about is the police confiscated drug and federal forfeiture funds. And after further discussion, once I had closed those items, according to motion 23235, the resolution adopted by this honorable body, the police department had contacted me with their concern about where the laws says with the separation, and that can be done by general ledger, but we're really not at a point where we're ready to do that. And that's one thing that I had said frequently. If you recall, the theory of pool accounting is accurate. It does work, but you have to be ready for that. And I know Comptroller King agrees with me. I don't want to speak for you, but there's something that we wanted to bring forward to you to reopen the 2 accounts that are listed in item 9A because it is needed to be so. And if, Director, do you want to add to anything I've said?
No, unless they have questions.
yeah,
Okay.
come on up, Director. Thank you. And thank you for your service. Any council members have any questions for the director? Go ahead.
I do, and I don't know if it's to the director or to the treasurer, but I know that Plant Moran Gap came over here and gave us their professional opinion into closing it, but then we had a treasurer, a director, a comptroller now stating that no, it doesn't make sense. So these are one of the 2 accounts that we've, in this very short time that we've come across. Are we going to see this in any other accounts that in the near future? So ultimately, was it a good idea to actually do this or not?
So overall, pool accounting obviously is, it simplifies things, it reduces your ledger, everything can work out fine. Unfortunately, these accounts, I actually have vast experience in this coming from the federal government, working there for 30 years. We just need to be hyper conservative with these until we know we have all the checks and balances and the ability to watch these things as fluently as we can. Now, we can't do it in pool accounting. We will get there. Quite frankly, sir, this was my mistake. In the beginning, by consolidating these, I did not catch it. It is my job and responsibility for the police department.
I respect you owning up to that. Thank you.
So we're going to get there. I have no doubt about it. We need to take a couple steps. Let me count through these things and make sure I have full accountability for it, which we do. But let me finalize these things and then I'll work with the treasurer and the comptroller and we will streamline this process for the city.
Okay. And I'm glad this was caught and I'm glad we're making a correction, obviously ultimately based on a vote. Councilman?
And thank you, Mr. Vanderplow. So eventually, once all the restrictions are made on the account, that money will be tracked on the general ledger. It can only be spent on
Yes, so there
are fighting drugs and so forth and so on.
There's programmatic things we can do with it. It is like every other city dollar that I know the treasurer and the comptroller tracks. This one has an additional level of tracking because I have to report to the federal government on various programmatic things with asset forfeiture fund through the Department of Justice. So it's just an additional layer of reporting that I actually handle for the department with reporting to the comptroller, the treasurer, and the chief.
So how long do you think that'll be? I mean, would that be like
that's
a year?
In perpetuity. That reporting is in perpetuity. That will not.
No. How long until that'll happen?
As far as.
So then it'll just be it'll be kept track of on the general ledger. In other words,
Go back to
won't be segregated in those separate accounts like a year or 6 months.
You know what, sir? I'd really like to have a little time to look at it to give you a time frame. I don't want to guess right now if I could. I would like the ability to report back to you through my chief and we can give you a time frame on that, but I'm going to ask for a little bit of time to look over those accounts, sir.
Okay. Any other questions for director or the treasurer? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Thank you, director and treasurer. Next up on our agenda.
Council Chair, and is that the last item before we go to comments or something?
We're gonna go to comments.
I wanted to catch Director Lauren Sell while she was up there. I had a question for her. Did she come back up? to
Yeah,
the
come on,
podium real
come on
quick?
up. Rebecca.
While she's walking up there, I've made several trips recently to the Eaton Senior Center and was pretty excited about some new things that were taking place there. One of them was back in, I think, June during budget hearings. City Council made a motion and I think it was unanimously approved that we approved funds for a full-time director at the Eaton Center. And everybody can recall that?
Yeah, yes, sir.
And so I've been waiting for this position to be filled and it hasn't yet. And I talked to the director this afternoon, Director Roncel, and she says that either it was the comptroller's office or HR, they took that out of the budget. It's not going to happen.
So Council Chair,
Councilman?
I also went over to the Eaton Center. I had some discussion with some of the seniors that were there, and they're very disappointed in the fact that they feel being neglected. I think they've said to me things like, and this has, again, this is no bickering back and forth. This is the information that I'm hearing, which I had no idea of. One, that there is no director position, which was approved by City Council, so no HR or comptroller should have removed that. Secondly, I'm still hearing that the bathrooms and toilets are broken down over there. Come on, guys. I mean, you know, I am going to pledge to paying for one toilet. You can hold it on the record, guys. And I think Dave Abdullah's he can afford one as well. There you go. You got two commercial toilets right there. He can afford the whole Eaton Center, to be honest.
Council Chair, can we get a response?
But the moral of the story is, the moral of what I'm saying here is, you know, there's some things that I'm also hearing. And so if we have to go back and put this motion or remind you guys of this motion, we ask that you please move forward. I know that we have a part-time staff member there right now. Make her full-time. That's it. Let's just end this here. Let's stop going back and forth. Thank you, guys. It's not necessary, but if our seniors feel like they're being neglected, each and every single one of us from the mayor down have all said that we were going to fight for our seniors. So here we are. We're fighting for our seniors. And let me tell you guys something. Let's not ignore that. Not the directors, not the mayor, not our corporation council, and not one city council member up here should be denying that.
Council Chair.
Thank you.
Well, let's make Councilman Wenzel, were you all set?
Oh, no, I was going to ask for a response from her.
Let her go first.
I've got two responses. The first is in regards to the bathrooms. We've been working with CDBG department, Hassan Jamal's department on that. I do know that the bids were finished. I'm not sure if they've been posted yet or not. I'd have to refer that to his department. And then the other thing in regards to the senior coordinator, I'd actually have to refer that to Miss King and the HR director as well. Because they were removed from the budget. I haven't had any further discussion in regards to that item.
Okay, sure. Next up is Councilman, we all set?
Dr. King come up? Yes.
Well, let's just, Councilman Muska asked, I had a question.
It's not so much of a question. I'm bewildered, just like Councilman Baydoun. I mean, almost 2 years ago, we had a meeting at Eaton Center with a bunch of seniors, myself, the mayor. I thought we had all this resolved. We had money for the bathrooms. We were gonna, I went and saw what the boiler room looked like, and I the minute I walked in the door, I just shook my head and just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Those things are very visible to me, being the field that I was in for 40 plus years. And I just don't understand how a building like that got neglected like it did. And we did approve a full-time director for there. I think it is needed. Not just wanted, it's needed. I mean, we're overworking the person that's there, and she needs to come in full-time. I mean, how do you get things done? We have a director at Irwin, but not at Eaton. To me, that just doesn't make any sense. So we did put it in the budget. Somebody's got to have to sharpen the pencil, figure out how they're going to do this.
So why don't we ask who took it out then?
I went into the budget process and it was removed in the budget meeting with Cindy King and the HR director. So you'd have to talk to them. I really don't have any more information on that.
So this is, refer this to the administration for them to come up with an answer for us.
See? How do we bring something like this back then?
Well, can we get an answer? What happened?
Well, I just also want to set the record straight that Mrs. Lawrencell had no reason why it was being removed, at least from, having the discussion with her. So I don't
was
want.
told budget
Yeah.
constraints.
Okay.
So
So for those in the audience, let me just tell you guys a little bit about the process. The way the process works during budgets is the directors meet with administration with their wants. They're going to come in, I'm going to use hypothetical 10 items. When they go back and forth with administration, they come to an agreement on 7 items. 3 items get dropped, and then eventually we go back and forth between administration, the directors, and the city council, and we come to a final agreement as to how the budget is put together. This was obviously in the beginning stages before it came to council. Is there any way that we could bring this thing back to be discussed? It's already been approved. So is that? Yeah, please.
Figure it out. We approved it.
Don't volunteer me.
We need to amend the budget again.
Hello, Cindy King, Comptroller. We had discussed in the beginning stages of putting a full-time employee there, not a director. That is number one. I wanted to clarify that. And secondly, I believe it was for a $40,000 employee.
Correct.
We did remove all of that at the end, and everybody approved the budget. I can go back and I can request that we put that back on, and we can ask for a budget amendment.
What is the person at Berwyn? What's their title there? Is that a director or what?
No, that is just an employee, a coordinator, I believe. is
Okay, a
Parks and Rec
full-time coordinator, yes, correct. Yeah, but Berwyn is a full-time coordinator.
Berwyn, yes.
So if
Yes.
we wanted a full-time coordinator at Eaton Center, we did approve that.
Yes,
So-
we did discuss
so-
that in our budget hearings. Yes, that was discussed.
Put an eraser on your pencil and sharpen it.
I sure will, and I will bring you a budget
Okay.
amendment.
Council
Thank you so
Chair.
much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, the way this was played out, it's just not transparent whatsoever. I mean, it was decided by city council that we needed a full-time coordinator there and a full-time person with their benefits, just like they do at the Berwyn Center. And like Ms. King just said, it was taken out without coming to us and saying, hey, by the way, here's the final budget. And we did remove a full-time position now, which is kind of critical, right?
Excuse me, Mr. Wenzel, there were full-time employees added to the budget. And at the end, they were all removed. And you had approved that. That is not something that I took out without you knowing.
Well, it wasn't given to us a list of the positions
Yes,
that were
it
eliminated
was. Yes, it
before our
was.
budget, before we vote on the budget.
Absolutely. And we
Look-
can reiterate that and I can give you that
Okay,
list.
but
again.
anyway, okay, I'm sorry if I made that mistake then, if you
Yes.
did present it to us. But it was something that was, that we voted on specifically. And not to come in and,
We discussed it in the beginning when we had our debates regarding the budget. At the very end is when we had approved and had voted on everything. We
Right.
didn't vote on
Because we-
anything
like-
on our debates or on our regular meetings.
right, because the council chair said the directors came in, they negotiated what they
Yes.
wanted. And then when we presented us, we said, hey, wait a minute, we've been hearing things. We need a full-time coordinator there. And we said coordinator.
Yes, you did. Yes, you
And,
did. And
then
it
we
is
talked
in my
about it. We said,
notes.
okay, let's approve a full-time coordinator, let's take a vote on it, and it was unanimous.
It was never voted on, not at that
I
time.
think
It was
yeah.
discussed and then
It
we were,
was
it was
discussed.
supposed to be added on. but
It
when
was
you-
added
but
on.
When you gave it to us, it wasn't added on.
It was removed. All of them were removed. And that's what we
Okay.
voted on.
So I think the council was basically
I
saying
will
because it was
gladly put
removed,
it back
maybe
in.
it should have been made more clear, but let's
Absolutely.
not look at the past. Let's look at the future. Can we add it back on?
We can
I'm in
add it
full
back on.
support of adding it back on. I'm sure the council members more than likely will be in support. Can we
Okay.
please add it back on?
Absolutely. And I will request
As
a budget
amendment.
amendment.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, and
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Councilwoman
Anything else?
Pryor.
Yes.
Right. I left a voicemail and then sent an email to our HR director on Thursday. She responded to me on Monday. And allegedly, the problem is that when we were put to the budget problem, that would be an imposition and a problem if we gave something to one, if we did that $5 across or 5% across the board,
Yes.
it would mess up the contracts. So then we back down, is my
Mhm.
understanding.
Yes.
And the latest thing is that allegedly we can't do anything until August or September.
No, we could do
Well,
something in,
Even if that's the case, we put the position on the table, it starts in
Yeah.
August, not the end of the
Yeah,
world.
the
Or
next
September, I'm saying.
budget hearing is going to be, or the next meeting, council meeting is going to be in August anyway, so.
Correct. Okay, okay, one more thing, Director Jamal's got his hand up, so I'm not sure if he's mentioning something in regards to this. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah, good day.
Yes, hi. Hello, Director.
Good evening. Regarding the Eaton Center, all the specs were developed. We had to do full evaluation, environmental evaluation for lead and asbestos there. I took over that project as I promised, and it's in full speed right now. The bids will be out there, the amendment for the money all set. We have enough money, and Eaton Center is at this time is a hot project. Me and Engineer Ali, we are on it, and the bids will be going out this week, at least or by Monday. So be assured, this project and Eaton Center with 6 bathrooms, doors, outside lead removal. The boiler already is set to be asbestos free. Discussed that with Mr. Conrad, the DPW administrator. So we are on track there. It's under my control. It will be moved on. I take responsibility for that.
Okay.
Director Jamal,
Yes.
I have one other question. You and I had discussed multiple times about a new marquee outside for that
It's
building.
already set for it.
Okay,
It's included, is already, Mr. Cooper is actually reviewing all the specs to meet the new IT system. They all gonna be inclusive. And also, just to refer, I know Councilman Baidoon wanted some autistic equipment evaluation for the parks that we are funding by CDBG. They are gonna be included. Assured you, Waitrim is working on it. Just talk to them today. Those 2 projects, including actually 4, 2 Eaton, Berwyn, Heather Lane, and Van Houten, they are hot for me, not only because for the city and speed up, I need to spend the money, otherwise the money is gonna go away.
good job, sir.
Okay, thank you, Director Jamal.
Thank you.
We're all set on this one? Yep,
I do have one more thing to say.
Director, go ahead.
I just want to make sure that you guys are aware, she does, the Eaton Senior Coordinator would have to test for the job as well because it's a civil service position, just so you know. So. She's been there for a year. I just don't want you to have any surprises.
Right.
Why do we give her the job in the first place? Did she test?
No,
That's
it
not
was a
full-time.
part-time position. You don't have to civil service test for.
What if you just
part-time.
give her, what if you give her 40 hours without benefits?
No.
She still
You
has to
can't
test?
because it's a maximum of 28 hours a week for part-time
Fine.
people.
Well, you know what? I got my faith in her.
She's really good. I totally agree with you. So.
Josie's
Thank
her
you.
name.
Director, did you have something to say? Go ahead.
Actually, no, I'm still under item
Comptroller
9
King,
for,
thank you.
reports from
Thank you.
city
Thank you.
officials. So I just have, under.
We're gonna go to that in a second, if you don't mind, Director. Thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with comments from council members.
Council Chair.
Okay, we'll go with age first. Councilman Wenzel, go ahead. Was
That was me.
it you? Oh,
That was me.
Councilman Ahmad, all right.
I'm still under him. I don't have much, Council Chair, just I'm saddened with the tragedies that have been happening in our streets. Please be careful out there. I don't know if the chief have something to say, just maybe an advice to our residents, how to be careful out there. That would be really good. That's all. Thank you very much, Council Chair.
Thank you, Councilman. Chief, did you want to say something?
So this is a great opportunity for us to talk about pedestrian safety, all kinds of traffic safety. Of course, I'm sure our parents and our driver's ed teachers taught us to drive defensively. We have to walk defensively. We have to ride our bikes defensively. That drivers, motorists are doing all kinds of things other than paying attention to what's going on around them as they're operating vehicles. However, we had two tragedies yesterday. One, a young man is in very critical condition in an area hospital, was crossing Telegraph from east to west at around 11:42 yesterday when he was struck by traffic that had a green light. And then about 10:30 last night, we had an adult woman with a 9-year-old family member on a little bicycle crossing mid-block, again from east to west, and was struck by a vehicle, traffic on Telegraph that had a green light. So I want to encourage people to use the crosswalks, to pay attention to the crosswalk lights, the walk, don't walk. They're there for a reason. They're there to help us guide ourselves safely across the intersection, have conversations with your children, your grandchildren, whoever, your neighbors' kids, about how to safely cross the street. These tragedies yesterday, quite frankly, could have been avoided if people were at a crosswalk and they were crossing when the sign said, go ahead and cross. So I don't want to talk bad about victims here and tragedies that are going on, but ultimately our safety is up to us, and please have those conversations. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Any other comments from council members?
Council Chair, I have a question for the police chief while he's up there.
Sorry?
Chief?
Chief?
I'll just follow this question.
You didn't make it.
How many steps you got
Got
in
your
now?
steps in,
Yep.
Chief.
Yeah.
Would
First
you
of
have
all-
questions for Mr.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for everything you're doing there. And, I know we're short staffed, and this past Saturday, they had the Telegraph cruise. And, I had a lot of residents complaining about noise after the 10 o'clock hour. And, I had a couple that record conversations with dispatch, and they said that there was only 2 cars dispatched that night in the area or the city. I can't remember what it was. But I mean, that being said, have we looked into, because of our shortage, getting help from the state police or Wayne County sheriffs or something to come help us out?
First of all, whenever you receive any phone calls about a certain number of cars that are working or not working, or there's a problem with service, that's my job. All right. So I would appreciate if you would send me an email. You have my phone numbers.
Yeah.
So that's my job to manage the police department. I can't tell you for sure whether
this is
2, 4, or
dispatch.
6 or in the dispatch center we're working. However, everyone's short-staffed. We called the state police yesterday to help us out on the fatal crash. They had their own situation going on. This is the state police. They never responded. So we now have called out the Dearborn Police Department for their help. And then that started a conversation with Chief Issa about we need to combine our services for the good of both of our communities. And we're going to investigate looking at creating a traffic unit for both Dearborn and Dearborn Heights. And these are conversations that really just have to take place, right? About combining the services. This honorable body approved a lot of purchases last year for traffic reconstruction equipment. Dearborn is in need of traffic reconstruction equipment. So if we can combine our resources and take care of each other, our sister city here, I feel that that's a win-win for both of us.
So you have reached out to the state police, and Wayne County as far as helping us patrol our streets or whatever.
And as far as patrolling the streets, no. But for support services, absolutely. Because that's where our biggest need is right now.
Just so I can answer the residents' questions, is that something that is typical or not unheard of?
What
they have
part of your
the
question?
state police help patrol the streets, or Wayne County sheriffs help patrol the streets?
I haven't asked them to patrol
the
streets.
Does that happen? Is it saying that's out of the question, that could never happen, or no? It's pretty common.
I wouldn't say that it's never happened before. I think that when you look at the safe streets and other relationships that the state police have with their communities, but again, they're very rich and steeped in tradition of their own police academy, and they're trying to find ways to honor people that have gone through another state police academy and maybe work a local police department and have a shortened academy to join the state police. So this is just like there's not enough cooks, there's not enough waitresses, there's not enough people to put a tire on an F-150. It's impacting our profession. And quite honestly, I talked about it earlier today. We're keeping these gentlemen off the street right now and holding people over on overtime because we're worried about conduct here. So we can all chip in by doing our part and not creating issues. Yeah.
So just to, wrap it up. I mean, it is possible to ask them. I mean,
We're not at that point yet.
No, we're not.
Yeah,
at
we
that
have a
point.
lot of people in the pipeline. We're swearing, we just hired a new officer yesterday. I wasn't going to try to push to get that individual here to be sworn in. They've been officially sworn in so they can be a police officer per our licensing authority. But we like to do the ceremonial one here at the police department. We're progressing. We have a lot of great things going on. I want to say we have 4 or 5 people that are in the process right now of being hired. So we're doing okay. Our officers need our support. They need wellness. They need to be home. So we're doing our best to try to hire people so they can have those opportunities to be with their family and downtime as
4 or
well.
5 that you mentioned, are they patrol officers?
Everyone starts as a patrol officer.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Chief.
Thank you so much.
Councilman. Councilman Baydun.
Council Chair, just a few things, especially with yesterday's tragic. I think it was 2 pedestrians within 12 hours. I mean, that's, we can point our fingers at the police. We can point our finger at the council. It's easy to point your finger at everybody else, but you know what? Look, guys, it's time we start pointing our finger at each other and start saying we need to do better. Really what happened was, and I'm sorry to hear what happened to the 2 pedestrians, but you gotta walk to the crosswalk. You can't cross with jaywalk, and it's illegal for your safety, not illegal because we want to be annoying, but it's illegal because it's for your safety. And yesterday was an example twice. We as a community need to do better. I mean, does there need to be, I've been walking the streets of Dearborn Heights since May. And let me tell you guys, I swear to God, I've probably almost been hit at least 10 or 15 times. I've almost been hit by a mini bike. I had somebody, when I opened up my door, almost take out my door. Mind you, I got, I'm not even going to say it, but it's an election year, so I'm knocking doors. And I want you to know, so many times I've almost been hit. And somebody will tell me like, no, you walk. And I'll be like, no, please just drive. I'd rather walk when there's no car. But really, the community, we need to point the finger at each other, not at this government, not at the council, not at the clerk, not at the mayor, not at the corporation. Really, it's ourselves. We got to do better. It's embarrassing. It's reckless. And the police can only do so much. You got 2 cops, you got 50 cops. You're still not going to be able to cover 185 square miles in the city of Dearborn Heights. I don't care how many officers you have. So when you're going up and down on Edgewood, or you're going up and down on Annapolis or John Daly or wherever you are, just think of the children, think of your family. That's what I have to say to that. And really, my heart is out with the families that were struck on Telegraph. My second thing is, I want to bring up blight. I'm walking the streets. It's disgusting. The city is terrible when it comes to the blight. And again, guys, it's not just on government or ordinance. It's on our neighbors. It's on ourselves. What happened to the neighbor that went out and said, you know what? Enough's enough. Here, I'm going to knock on the door and say, you need to cut your grass. It's one thing that's going to come from government, but it also goes back to this community. We as a community need to do better. My third thing that I have here is, and I don't know if we have our DPW director. I think like Councilman Muscat. I'm sure many of you over here as well. We received so many phone calls about trees, about this last storm. And look, it was 60 miles per hour wind. You can't blame, you got to blame Mother Nature. But we also have to do better. I think DPW did a great job at the responses, going out, trimming up the trees, branches that fell down. Really, those men and women at DPW did a phenomenal job. But we also have to put preventative measures like trimming our trees and making sure that we're staying on top of trimming our trees. I know that we just had a new company come in. I know we've been told that we're going to start looking at some of these sycamore trees. We need to focus on what we're doing with those sycamore trees because they're not good for us. And then, sorry guys, I have a list here that I have written down. The Eaton Center. I know we've already had this discussion, but the bathrooms there in 2021, we had John Salome here who told me, Mo, I just went out for specs for new bathrooms. We are still looking at specs, and I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not pointing. I know. I think Mr. D fixed it for a second, and we didn't have to replace them. Clearly, they're not fixed. Let's replace them. Let's just not. It's not even open for discussion. A couple of toilets. Councilman Abdullah said he's got some of them covered. And then lastly, I really just want to give my appreciation to a director in the city, Mr. Watland. This man, anytime somebody calls me and says, Mo, I need help with this permit. And 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm calling Eric Watland, our director. And, I don't think he gets enough appreciation. Mr. Watland, please, John Doe needs help with pouring concrete at, 1111 Ford Road. And he'll go to the house. He'll help them fill out the application. I just had an Arab American man who couldn't speak any English. He was very old and nothing against anybody that's older, but he was very aggressive and angry. And when he would have a conversation, he would yell at me. So I said, Mr. Director Wallen, I'd appreciate it if you took this over and had this conversation with this gentleman. And Mr. Wallen called me and said, I'm getting yelled at right now by this gentleman. And there was also a language barrier, but that didn't stop him from helping this gentleman. He ended up texting us and saying, thank you so much. And so I feel like, that's, we really need to appreciate some of our employees here and our directors and who are really truly going above and beyond. Mrs. King, who is our comptroller, that's not an easy job. We've went through so many different comptrollers. Good job. You guys are doing a great job. Mr. Deeb is the engineer for the entire city. It's not easy. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can point out, but I can tell you there's a lot of good things that are also happening. So to Mr. Wallen, I just want to say thank you for all that you do for the city of Dearborn Heights.
Okay, thank you.
Council Chair.
Councilwoman, go ahead.
All right, I'm just wondering if CBDG or anybody else has any money left in the budget anywhere that could be put toward a full-time position for our person at Eaton. She's very deserving and we're about to lose her if we don't do something soon. And August is next week. So we really need whatever can be done immediately.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman?
Thank you, Council Chair. Councilman Baydoun stole some of my thunder here, especially when it comes to blight. I've been traveling the city streets for many years, and I got writer's cramp of all the addresses I've written down. And I think when they see me coming into the ordinance office, they pull the shades down. And there's a couple of residents out here that really care and are passionate about how, it's our homes. This is where we live. We don't want to start having urban decay. Blight is one thing, but then you get it to a position of urban decay like other cities who had to file bankruptcy. We don't want that to happen to us. People have got to start caring about their property. But in retrospect, people can't have nice lawns and pretty flowers when the water is so expensive. And I had brought up years ago, I believe, well before I was a councilman, about a second water meter for people to water their lawns. Other communities have had this. Water goes back in the ground. It does not go into our sanitary drains. And we actually pay for something. When I water my lawn, I actually pay for something that I'm really not getting. To me, that's some sort of, I guess I can call it fraud. But, we have to start doing something. Something is better than nothing. My last water bill was $400 some because I water my lawn and my wife is ready to kill me because she says it's only grass. Well, I got to have a curb appeal. I'm sorry. Curb appeal means everything to me. And I want to thank, again, Eric Watland. He's always Johnny on the spot. Our city attorney, I call him, he responds immediately. I've never been able to call the police chief on a personal cell phone and he returns my call immediately. Mr. Vanderplow returns my calls immediately. I've just had great success with all of our directors. And I just wish we could solve all the problems today, but we can't. The city's problems have been long for many years, many years. So it's going to take some time to correct them. Hopefully we can get them done sooner than later. And I'm sure I'm missing something, but I want to get out of here in 10 minutes. So.
Council Chair.
Councilman?
Thank you, Council Chair. This is a public forum. Imagine if you hear about some small town in Kansas or somewhere, people fighting and the police ending the meeting. Let's not abuse it and have to have it restricted. We live in a complicated times these days, and when something like happened at the last meeting happens, the word is out instantaneously and it's all over. It's not, oh, were you at the council meeting last night? And it makes our city look bad. It really does. I still am getting complaints about people that the fireworks that were shot off over 4th of July. In my subdivision, there was an apartment complex and people there, not kids, lobbing pretty large fireworks into the subdivision. The police were called. They pointed out it is legal up to a point, but there were fireworks landing on older people's homes on the roofs, and they were worried. So maybe we can look at some local ordinances that we can adopt that will curb some of that. Thank you.
Okay. For me, just two quick items. For administration, specifically Director Conrad, please don't forget the break room. That's still on my agenda. And I still believe that these members of our city that do a lot of stuff for a lot of residents deserve to have a break room. So please don't forget this. I'm going to continue to come back with this one. So I hope you have it on your agenda soon. No. Next, no. Stop. All right, next up, I'm gonna switch you with your brother. One more word out of you. All right. Here's a better looking man from the family right in front of you there in the black hat.
That's my little brother. He likes it too.
Yeah. Next up is ordinance. I'd mentioned it before, and I just want to bring it up to the administration again. And I brought it up to the director. I really think that we have driving around town, like Councilman Badu mentioned and Councilman Muscat mentioned, there's a lot of people that need to take care of their properties better. You mentioned your water bill. I'm in trouble with my wife. Mine was 980, I think, or some crazy number like that. So listen.
He can't put that bathroom in, by the way.
Well, that's Hots and Sobs, because he had recommended something on my grass.
Oh, yeah.
I said, water it some more. So now I got $1,000 bill. I'm bringing it to you. Anyways, so I had recommended that the ordinance department add 2 additional ordinance officers. You know, in a perfect world, like Councilman Badu mentioned, in a perfect world, people would take care of their property. But in the real world, they don't. And unfortunately, we have to have some penalties. And I think some of the tickets that if we give, either a warning or a ticket from the money that comes in from tickets from people that don't take care of their property, is more than pay for 2 additional ordinance officers. I know the director said he was okay with that. I hope administration is okay with that. I'm in full support of that. Let's bring in 2 additional ordinance officers and get the ordinance officers on the road, and whoever's not cleaning up their property, hey, they get ticketed. And at one point we talked about trees. We said we give tickets for grass, but trees also have to be maintained, trimmed. Weeds are like this that become trees. That's not okay. Right next door to
got one in my backyard.
I almost said an address, but next door to somebody I know, their weeds became trees. And I talked to the landlord, yeah, I'll take care of that. He comes and trims the trees. I said, no, it's weeds that are 10 foot tall. You gotta get rid of them. So I fully would like to push our administration to bring on 2 additional ordinance officers. I'm in full support of that. And that's it for me.
Council Chair.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you, Council Chair. The ordinance thing, I've been pushing for that. Thank you for mentioning that. The director is supposed to be coming up with something to present to us, a budget amendment for that. So we definitely need that in. Plus, we get the ordinance officers write more tickets, but then it goes to the next step, the court system. And that's what we have to streamline, because that is taking the longest. It can be held up in court for 3, 4, 5, 6 months after appeal. So we have to look into both those, definitely. Our tree ordinance we have is kind of, it was put together kind of quickly, sort of, and we adopted it. And we just got to remember, we just can't just start cutting down trees. Dearborn Heights is a tree city. Like I said before, one tree supplies enough oxygen, a mature tree supplies enough oxygen for 4 people. One tree reduces the ground temperature below it by 10 degrees, which, we're in this global warming thing right now. So this is not okay. Things where we can cut down trees on city property just by pulling a permit. Let's look into this. Trees are very, very old, for one thing. You can't grow a tree overnight. It takes years and tens of 20, 30, 40 years to grow a tree that matters. So just by cutting it down, you're eliminating, decades of progress. I've always preached about families and, this unfortunate incident that happened, yesterday, there's 2 instances. And I was contacted by a person who was a friend of one of the people driving the car. So it's terrible to lose a member or have a family member injured, but think about the person that hit that person. Just how bad they feel because a person may or may not have been crossing properly. So at my house, we have a bad intersection. We just had a stop sign put up and cars still run. So I've got I got my family and all my neighbor kids together. When a car comes there and they tell you to go, you tell the car to go because it's a lot safer crossing a clear intersection and in front of a car. So that's just one thing I teach my kids all the time. Tell the cars to go. That's my family thing for this week. Tell the cars to go and then cross behind the car. I might not be here for a while, so I wanted to bring this up before it gets too old. I was looking at last meeting's agenda, and there was an item in there. What was an item in the agenda? It was something sent out by the treasurer, and it was a monthly statement, and it was in there. There was a estimated expenditures, and I called her today, and we talked about it. It was extra paid out settlement. It was titled $2 million. And I said, is that like a typo? And that's 2 million. What? So I said, what is that? What's extra paid out settlement? And she said that she was approached by someone from the administration or a guest, but I asked her, I said, who was it? And then she said that the comptroller came over and said, I want you to set aside $2 million and under the extra paid out settlement account. And I have no idea, that was never brought before city council, not to my knowledge.
Wait, Councilman, wait. Let's be clear. I've never heard of that. So who said that specifically?
This is right here. It was sent out by by our treasurer, her monthly report that she sends out to us every month through the month of June. It's right here. And it's, she tells in her report, she tells you general fund deposits, all the things that she does.
Right.
And estimated expenditures. It says extra paid out settlement, $2 million.
There's been, Roger, I don't want to speak of something in a closed session, but I'll just say
I have
what?
no idea what you're talking about, but I think something maybe a few years ago came in. I would sit with the treasurer and
I talked to her
and the controller, and if no one knows what you're talking about, no disrespect.
Oh, I think we all received an email. It's the June.
You may have received an email.
June 1st, 2023. Every council member received it.
Okay, well, it's good to let us know
I'm trying to look it up
because we don't have
I was
any.
going over some stuff yesterday.
No, I'm talking, please. I would ask if we can see it, have it in writing. I will go over it tomorrow with the treasurer. We've not heard of it. It's not been brought to the administration. And we'll get you an answer, but we have not heard anything about.
Okay,
There's no settlement that I'm aware of, but $2 million.
Is the treasurer on? Is Lisa?
No, she's not here.
She's not on. I talked to her today, and she
You
said,
may have talked to her, but she hasn't
Yeah.
talked to us about it.
Yeah.
We had other issues,
All right.
but not about that.
okay, well, I'm not lying.
I'm saying that how
I'm telling you
it takes us following up with
what she told me, you know. Yeah, it's a June. It was she emailed everyone. This is something that we got an email from.
There's no $2 million settlement. So
Right,
let's
and
just.
he's
No,
talking
I
about
mean,
an email without any kind of basis and anything to support it.
Yeah,
It's called hearsay.
Well, I'm just asking what that is. I mean,
We don't know because it's hearsay.
it's not hearsay. It came from the treasurer.
No, it's not in front of us. It's not presented to us.
Here.
I'm trying to find it
What are you
right
gonna
now.
show me?
Okay, nothing from the audience, please.
I'm not gonna look at your phone. I would ask you to sit down and I will look at it and give you an answer tomorrow with all
you don't
respect,
tell me
all
to
due
sit
respect.
down.
No.
Oh, it's
You can stand, whatever you want, but I will sit down.
Okay,
I was gonna give him what he asked for.
Okay, give it to him.
Not now.
Councilman. Okay, we'll go ahead and look into that.
Okay.
I will personally put a note.
Well, look at your email from the treasurer.
I did. I don't remember something like that, but I will double check
All
something.
right.
I will double check.
I'm trying to find it right now.
I mean, look it up. It's in there.
I'll double check it.
Yeah. All right. Thank
So
you.
let's go ahead. We're done with council members. Next up is announcements from administration.
Thank you, Council Chair.
You're welcome.
Were those people? Did they have?
Let's start with Director Deep.
Okay, so it's more of a actually an announcement. So what I really wanted to do is to bring you up to speed on, provide you a quick update on regarding the capital project funding in our cities. So as you probably know, because it's been going back and forth about some of the major projects and how we fund them. So as you know, that this is when this administration took over a few years back, a number of initiatives were put in place. And one of those initiatives was to evaluate the current status of the city's infrastructure, which is what my position was created to do. So we identified, and so to identify the needs and develop a work plan to get us where we need to be, and then to estimate the cost of that work plan. One very glaring example from the start was the lack of maintenance program on our existing facility, and as well as end of life cycle replacement cost. So if you have a facility, you always plan for a nothing lasts forever, planned replacement cost, and put them into action and put a capital plan in place. So it became apparent that our infrastructure, which was designed for 12,000, and I'm talking about infrastructure, water distribution, storm system, sanitary system, and so on, which was designed for when the city was created 1960 or designed in 1960, is not keeping up with the 62,000 residents that we currently have plus. So we had to look at and quickly develop a capital improvement program to get us where we needed to be. So initially, what I started doing is I contacted all the departments, and we put together a plan based on our existing system and then the planned replacement cost at the time. And it became quickly apparent that we were up to $200+ million to just catch up with what we currently have. This is our capital improvement. So, of course, the funding became a very, very important issue. Alternative funding was being an alternative funding and alternative dollars had to be found to alleviate having to tax our citizens to fund our capital improvement program. So the administration instructed both the staff internally as well as a consultant, which is why we put in a funding scout on board, and then to review all available sources and identify funding and match our existing needs to those particular funds. So what we currently have in a relatively short period of time, because it hasn't been 6 months with that funding scout, and the last meeting was today with them, and I'm happy to just to provide you with a list of how far we've gone towards our funding goals. And then, by the way, for the master plan function, which is a necessary step in trying to build a capital program, is you always have to have a plan, a master plan for any city of our size. The step one in the process of seeking fund is just like you have a business and you go to a bank for a business loan. They wanted to know your business plan, right? So you go to a funding agency and they ask you, what is your master plan? And unfortunately, we don't have a master plan. We have an update from 2005 or 2007 that doesn't mimic anything we've done. We've never updated it. So we are currently, we're interviewing, we put it out on the street. We have consultants provided bid, and we scheduled the interviews on the 5th of August is our first interview with a very reputable master planner. So hopefully we'll have a master planner on board shortly, and it will come to you for approval. So just a quick update on some of the, and this is just as of this afternoon. So first, grant, these are awarded. So this is what we have been awarded, actual award. FEMA BRIC Urban Stormwater Study, $235,875. FEMA BRIC Ecorse Creek Rouge River Flooding Study, $85,600. And those are 90% funded. So when they give you a grant, it's 90%. All you have to come up with is 10%. Eagle High Water Infrastructure, again, Ecorse Creek Rouge River Flooding, $306,825. Match at 80%. Earmark spending, THUD Economic Development Initiative from Rashida Tlaib for the fire station, 500 in addition to the 10 million that were earmarked by Representative Burns. So Clean Water State Revolving Act, Ecorse Creek Flood Mitigation, again, $1 million. Drinking Water State Revolving Funds, again, from Representative Thanador. Lead service and water meters, and I know this is near to your heart, water meter replacement, another $1 million. And please keep in mind, I'm seeking funding for these projects to offset the shortcoming that we have in our funding. So when we sold bonds initially, we are so short on these that we can't complete the project. So that's why we're looking for free money, as you will. Michigan Clear Water State Revolving Fund, L41 CSO. $2.75 million, 50% of $5.5 million, which we also sold bonds for, which is not enough to do the work. Michigan Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, lead service, water meter replacement, $15.5 million. Good chunk of money. The Safe Street Roads. This is a Safe Street Action Plan, $400,000, which is a good start for our school crossings. DHS, Senator Stabenow, Ecorse Creek, $2 million. Clean Water State Revolving Fund, L41, again, 2.75. These earmarks are currently being considered. So the first $3 million are awarded. These are in the final stage of being awarded, the earmarks. We have Drinking Water State Revolving Fund at $2 million. Economic Development Initiative, Fire Station, another $2 million. The COPS grant, department accreditation for the police department, $160,000. So, and we also have grants that are in progress currently. Michigan Economic Center grant, $2 million for the Ray and Canfield Center. And lastly, CDBG grant for MEDIC for the capital improvement program. So for our bridges and infrastructure, which we know are underfunded. I mean, we have 14 bridges that I have on my list that require that our entire city budget will not be close enough to address at $2 million. And that one does not need, so that's under the federal. Now, this is in addition. That was on July 13th of this month. We have never had a seat. Councilman Muscat knows that we for Cherry Hill, we've never had a seat at the table for the federal aid program. Federal aid is money that goes from the federal to the state to the counties to distribute among communities. So we have never been part of any of these monies ever. So the Dearborn Heights was never mentioned. It's not on the list. So we currently, not only we are on the table, we have a seat at the table. Our project is number one for the next funding in 06, number one on the list at $2,514,000. It just got approved a week on the 14th.
And who's that coming from?
13th, July 5th. This is federal aid program. That is money that goes through federal, state, MDOT, county, and then it goes to the communities. But you have to ask, this is not free money that they just dish out. You have to be active. You have to provide, needs, show a need, and then pick a roadway. So this particular roadway this will fund the mill and cap of Cherry Hill from Inkster to Beach Daily, which is between us and Inkster. And then we will pay for the Inkster to Gully.
It goes
for Beach Daily to Gully.
You mean the Gully? Yeah. Okay.
Gully to Beach Daily is ours. And then from Beach Daily to Inkster is Heaven Have. City of Inkster, but $3 million. I mean,
but all this stuff just proves, as a lot of us on the council have talked before, we got to get a grant writer in the city. I mean, you look at all these monies, a grant writer will cost us $80, $90, $100, $150,000, and they'll bring in millions. I'm gonna tell you honestly, I don't know why we still don't have one yet.
This is what our grant scout is doing for us. That's the scout.
See, I mean, this is good, but I think a grant writer would help a lot.
So at this point, I'd just like to add $42 million is on the table for us now, which is a lot of money for our capital program. And this is going to go a long way towards two things. One is be able to do the work that we need done without having to add tax fees. It is important that not only the taxes that are being considered, but some of the bonds that we're selling or we have sold in the past, like the CSO bonds. The next round that we were looking at for 3 CSO are estimated at $45 million, which is what Eagle has been pushing for us to do. Yeah, there are three of them. They're estimated at $45 million. And these are the law. That's the law. You need to separate CSO. But we kept fighting with them that we don't have the money to do it. And I don't want to add another $45 million in debt because that's going to go directly towards your water and sewer bills, because that's what they are. They're just revenue bonds, right? I mean, so.
Okay, Chair.
Thank you, Director.
Yeah, excellent job. Excellent.
Oh, I
overview.
appreciate it. This is just an update because I keep hearing that, not that we're not doing it. We need to do it the right way. We need to do it and keep streets are important. Infrastructure is important. You have a lot of needs, but you need to be able to match those needs with funding. So you're not doing so. So in my mind, there are two types of funds. I have my operating budget, which is the stuff to operate what we have, and that's what we should be, spending our money on. But for any capital, if I have to go and replace the system, the stormwater, because it's not keeping up to address flooding. So we were meeting with the FEMA people today, and that's perfect. It fits, perfectly. We are trying to eliminate liability and flooding in that area. So, we ask for funding, and you just need to present it that way. And our scouts are trained to just do that, and we already, we've got money more. They found us a lot of money.
Okay.
And this year, that money's around. It sounds like we're putting it to good use.
Yep.
It may not be around again, particularly around Military Hills. I know you went out there. Some of the residents were very happy.
Yep.
The sewers, the grates in the street that was a rural area. They're too far apart and the streets all flood.
Right.
So, that's instead of just people complaining, we got to get the leaf. You looked at it from an engineer standpoint and figured out what the problem was. So thank you.
So yeah, both the capacity is an issue, and then the separation. So some of the keep in mind. So we're separating CSO, right? And some of the areas that streets flood, that they're intended to flood in the combined sewer system. Because if the streets don't flood, the water will be in your basement because the two systems are combined, right? So we're trying to separate them, and that is the law. Except that is, as you can see on Beach Daily, that it's not a cheap a project to separate them. You physically have to excavate and separate and put a new system in place. Expensive, and you rather not pay for it yourself if you can get someone else to pay for it.
Okay. Thank you, Director.
Just to let everybody know that, for years and years, we never tried to get grants. We asked for grants for lead pipes and CSO projects. We were told we can't get them. There aren't any. And yet, lo and behold, flash forward 3-4 years, we have, and everyone has gotten these grants previously. So I don't understand what was going on here, but I'm glad that we've got somebody reaching out and trying to get these grants. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Deep, when you were talking about Cherry Hill, you said 06, like funded 06.
No, 26.
26,
Yeah. This is how, unfortunately, the grant works. So 1 year, they send it out to all the communities and say, we have that much money, we need to split it. So for this particular project, we actually got the lion's share of the federal aid projects. So in 2026, there will be 3 projects. Cherry Hill is number 1. And then,
that's when we get the money, or that's when the work starts?
The work. The money
will
is
start
already earmarked.
2026.
So we got approved on July 13th. I was in that meeting. And so now it's just a matter of, it goes through the funding, and then you have to go, design and then construction.
Thank you. Okay. I helped get the ball rolling on that one.
Yes, sir. Well, at least you got $3 million.
That's something.
Mr. Deeb, I just want to say one last question. I'm sorry, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. So are you saying that the residents will be getting new water meters?
Yes. So the minute we receive, so the water meters, as we discussed before.
15 million. I wrote it down.
12. We're estimated at 12, but anyway. In any case,
we'll say 12.
Yes.
I'll let you keep 3.
Okay. Thank you. I'll keep it, but no.
Joking.
So this is, again, this is to offset. The initial bond was for 5 projects, as we discussed, and 3 of them have taken up the lion's share of those bonds, money. So unless you either do one of 2 things, either sell more bonds and raise the cost, or what we're doing now. And that's what we elected to do, get the money and then offset the short funding and go that way.
Thank you, Director.
Yes, sir.
Next up, we have our clerk, and then after that, Director of the Libraries, Mike McCaffrey.
Good evening, honorable city council members.
Evening.
Just a reminder that our next regularly scheduled city council meeting will be on Thursday, August 10th. Because on Tuesday, August 8th, the clerk's office will be facilitating a local election, the primary. The polls will be open on the 8th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. We will also be open on Saturday, August 5th from 8 to 4, should anybody want to come in on a Saturday and get their absentee ballots. To date, we have issued a little over 4,400 absentee ballots with about 51% returned. So anybody that has them out there, vote and send them back. We got drop boxes. We have a drop box at the J.F. Kennedy Library, Junior Library. We have one here in front of City Hall. And then of course, there's the night deposit box that comes right into our office. And I'd also like to thank the state. Part of Prop 2 was requiring each municipality to have one drop box, absentee voter ballot box for every 15,000 registered voters we have. Well, they came through. We have 2 new ones. And I'd like to thank the chief of staff as well as Superintendent Blackburn and his staff for promptly installing one of those absentee voter counting boxes. They just installed it today at the Justice Center. It's to the left of the front entrance. I haven't opened it yet because I haven't had a chance to get out of here. They just installed it today. That one is fully, you got 2 angles. The superintendent looked and you got 2 angles where there's cameras on it. The other one is slated for the Richard A. Young Center, but we can't do anything there yet because we have to get the cameras installed. So I also would like to thank the clerk's office staff. Dana, George, and Sally have been up and down issuing those ballots. And we could not do it without what we call our pit crew, which Alonda is our lead. Karen is in charge of the absentee counting board. Marlene, Diane, and Joanne. You would not know how much is involved in preparing for this election. We have training, two sessions for training on Friday, training on Monday. Then Dana will be training on the electronic poll book. I'd also like to thank everyone that hosts a location for a precinct and Crestwood's National Honor Society, because the kids really come out and help because I think we're born with laptops. And just a reminder that we do have a paper information newspaper on the way out. If you go out the front door from the League of Women Voters, if you want to look at it at home, you can go on the website, vote411.org. And then the state, you can go and follow your ballot if you did get an absentee ballot, michigan.gov/vote. The easiest way to, if you still want an absentee ballot, to apply for that is to go to that michigan.gov/vote, apply for it there. It comes into us. We check it every day. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next up, our Director McCaffrey and then Director Conrad, and then we'll go ahead and go to the audience.
I have announcements too.
We have an announcement. Okay.
You want to do them now?
Director McCaffrey, go ahead, and then you'll be next.
Thank you.
Hello, Council Chair and Mayor. I just wanted to mention a couple of upcoming programs. First off, Saturday, August 5th from 1 to 4 p.m. at JFK Library, the summer reading program will conclude. Join us for crafts, ice cream, prizes, and backpacks full of school supplies. I would like to thank our community partners, including John Sadikian, Lisa Hicks Clayton, the building department, the clerk's office, the fire department union, Rotary of Dearborn Heights, Dot Medical Express, Sal's Pizza Cafe, Hashem's Meat Market, Rosenau Power Sports, White Castle, Nor Technologies, King Cone Ice Cream, and library staff. If you still would like to donate supplies, please donate by this Saturday to JFK Library. Next, this Thursday at 10:30 a.m. at Carolyn Kennedy Library, join us for Mr. Jim's retirement party. And final story time. Drinks, snacks, and pictures will be served. Mr. Jim has made many families and kids happy. So let's bid him a fond farewell. And right after that, this Thursday at 1 p.m. will be a special story time at JFK. Join us as Miss United States, Lily Donaldson, reads Charlotte the Scientist Finds a Cure. It's kind of short notice, but we're happy to have her here. Should be great. Finally, we're looking for more community partners for our open house. If you're interested in promoting literacy and feel like donating gift cards or other prizes, call 313-791-3804. And your call will be returned when I get back. That's all for now. Thanks for your time and see you at the library.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right, tomorrow, Wednesday, the 26th, 6 p.m., we will have our Ecorse Creek Commission meeting at the admin building for Westwood Community School District. And then more importantly, on Thursday, the 27th, 6:30 to 8:30, you have an opportunity to come and meet all 9 council people who are running in April. And they will be there to be talked to.
August.
I'm sorry, August. Yes, well, I'm in the middle, right? So we're going to have to narrow it down from 9 to 6 for November. And then we will have a September meeting for the final 6. So that you could be aware of who these people are and have a chance to talk to them. The September meeting will have a moderator. This time it's kind of a meet and greet, and they will tell you about themselves and you will be free to ask questions. So that's 6:30 to 8:30, 3335 South Beach Daily. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman. Next up is Director Conrad, and then we'll go to the audience. Director, go ahead.
Good evening, Council Chair. I believe Mr. Dibb already updated you a little bit on the break room for the DPW, so I won't elaborate anymore on that. But I did want to give you an update. You had asked for at previous meetings about our school crossing painting project. So we have 11 schools completed with the crosswalk and stop bar marking, and we have 6 remaining, although the weather hasn't been cooperating the last 2 weeks. So as soon as we get a little break with the weather, we'll be continuing with that program. But right now, as you are aware, we're very busy addressing tree limbs from the last storm. And I'll tell you what, I'll help you out with that water bill. It'll rain tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, but how do I get out of being in trouble with the wife? Because it was me that
I'm not going to try to help you with.
Yeah, it was that gentleman's recommendation, and myself.
I told him if he was a little better looking, maybe, but having it look the way.
Listen to this. Thank you, Director.
Okay, I recommend yes, dear.
Okay. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and let's go ahead. And this time, I'm gonna do a little switch. Well, no, we can't have ladies wait, so we'll go with ladies first. Come on up.
Good evening, everybody. Sue Kaminsky, Amboy Street, Dearborn Heights. A few things. First off, one of the things on the agenda that you guys.
I'm sorry, one quick second. We didn't do the time thing. We have our director of. We have our director of time.
I'm gonna get fired here pretty soon.
Here's an extra training. I think he's good. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's go.
You gotta change it to 3.
Oh, yes, I do. So hang on.
I really hit me.
You are correct.
We're interviewing him for IT director.
If Marge Horvat was here, she'd really get into me. Yeah. Okay, now we'll start when you're ready.
Okay, Sue Kaminsky, Amboy Street, Dearborn Heights. On the agenda, you guys were discussing 9A, and the agenda up there doesn't reflect 9A. So if citizens wanted to discuss the opening of the accounts that you guys voted for, they didn't have that opportunity. Just an FYI.
So this was, as I mentioned, just 1 second. Yeah, this was added on after the fact when the treasurer and the director contacted me and said, we got to add this on. We have 2 options, either adding it at the next agenda, which is 2.5 weeks from now, or just add it on there. And I don't know what happened as far as what's up there, but
Okay, and I mean, obviously not a big deal. The other thing is at that May 9th meeting, when our treasurer talked about those accounts and many of the council people were very opinionated and wanted those accounts closed. I think some people owe our treasurer an apology. Just my opinion.
I'll be one of the ones that will apologize.
Yes, I will too, but the forfeiture accounts weren't not specified.
I'm just
So
saying.
I just want to let you know they were not specified, and I will apologize for pushing for them. But if I had known that those two were specified, I would have had them omitted.
Okay.
And then the other thing is I'm a proud Dearborn Heights resident. I love the city. I've been here since 1977 and I take pride in our community. I take pride that I try and be an activist for the city's betterment. And unless I misunderstood our police chief, the thought of any kind of merging our police departments with Dearborn, our sister city, I think was his words. I chose to live in Dearborn Heights. I did not choose to live in Dearborn. And I think this council, when you do your budget meeting again in August, need to do something about our policeman's salary and raise it from 40,000. It's a freaking embarrassment. You will never get quality policemen in this city for 40,000. And if there's some ulterior motive in administration and merging with Dearborn, this citizen does not want it. I didn't want it merged when you talked about it for the dispatchers. And I certainly don't want it merged for our police department. And shame on anyone for mentioning that. Because a police department is the foundation for a city. And how dare our chief sound like he's advocating for that? Shame on him.
Okay. Just to be clear, there is no talks of police departments merging. I know what he mentioned, Sue, what he mentioned would be to work together when there's issues that come up, but not necessarily merging. There's nothing on the table, just to be clear. No. Okay. Thank you. City street name, please.
Good evening. My name is Hassan Bazzi, Sheehan Highway.
Dearborn Heights.
Dearborn Heights. Two things. You asked the mayor and the administration in the last meeting to get you a list for all the vacant property in Dearborn Heights that we have and we're buying. Did you receive it?
I have not personally, no.
Okay.
Unless other council members have, I have not.
You haven't received it?
No.
So I asked you again last time that when we ask questions as citizens, do you guys take any in consideration? Do you take it all in consideration? Do you follow up or you just like, we ask?
So when you ask of something of administration, then obviously somebody there has got to provide it. At this point, I don't know if Roger's got any information on that for you.
I believe Mariana had checked with the assessor. They had to check some of the properties to see which ones FEMA had, which ones could not be sold. I noted that the properties that the county is offering is bids were put on. 2 were rejected for different reasons. That's as far as I can tell from that. But
okay.
I'm sure they do have a list and they'll be happy to give that to you, go over it with you.
Okay. Because you asked specifically that for the administration.
I do recall.
So my other comment, actually, I was going to talk about something in particular, but I want to go a different route here. I've seen a lot of citizens here. We've been coming to the city council meetings for years. Even we've been going to the school districts for years. I mean, we've been active in this community. We always look for the better of this community. This community has been divided since the new administration took over. I have to speak up my mind. I've seen 4, 5, 6 police officers here. First of all, I want to salute the police officers and especially these young gentlemen for what they do and what they go through in this community with the high speed, with chasing the bad guys out there. Now, with all the respect to our chief police here, he came this evening and he started by lecturing the good citizens that, I mean, you guys know us. Last meeting, I wonder if the chief himself or the police department went after who caused problems here, and they came to support the mayor, and they sat in the back seat and they started all these problems. Listen, our leader, Imam Hussein, we live his memories, and the one who doesn't know, please Google Imam Hussein and see if you see something is not right, you have to speak about it. I mean, I'm not gonna, for a minute, I felt intimidated and my civil rights been violated. You know what? I understand. I mean, none of these guys will cause problems. You should ticket or send a notification for the guys they caused. I mean, they're in camera. Have the police department contacted them? Have you guys instructed the mayor or the administration or the police department to go after the bad guys that they came here and caused problems? It wasn't fair for this statement. I'm going to use my 42 seconds to protest this. I'm not going to say anything right now.
Keep it on. Silent protest.
This is a country of law. God bless America.
Up, ma'am. City street name, please.
Rose Trepepi, Tulane Street, Dearborn Heights. I want to thank you guys for helping Eaton. I feel like a stepchild. We were like a redheaded stepchild. It's the way we've been feeling lately.
Okay.
I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying. These guys know I'm not nice. But anyway, we appreciate what you're doing. We just hope it happens. It's 7 years I've been volunteering there, waiting for the bathroom in the office to be fixed. And guess what? To this day, nothing's done. So hopefully it'll get done now. We have one more problem. There's a city car in our parking lot. We don't have enough parking space as it is. We don't need that city car there. Nobody in that building works at the city. For the city, it has a car. One of our Meals on Wheels lady fell in the parking lot this morning. So we need those. We need the parking lot for us, not for anybody else. And we want to take care of our seniors. But I appreciate everything you did. Eaton appreciates it. Thank you very much.
City vehicle, parking the parking lot, city vehicle,
Yes.
taking up space.
Madam Clerk, do you see anybody on Zoom by any chance?
Nobody.
Okay. City street name, please.
Good evening, Zuhair Abdullah.
345 Rosemary.
354 Rosemary.
Know it by heart.
Anyway,
Dearborn Heights.
I want to congratulate the mayor and his team for winning the first round of the fight for the recall petition. I promised the residents who put their trust in me and my group that we will take it to the circuit court and will continue basically to expose the truth in what happened in our police department. On June 1st, our treasurer sent you all this email, which I received copy of it. It said here, estimated expenditures, extra paid out settlement, $2 million. I spoke here last time and I had a about this subject and everybody looked at me like I'm crazy. I'm making up a number. And I believe I talked to you, Dave, and you have spoken, I believe, to the mayor and he told you, I don't know what Mr. Abdullah talking about. Did that conversation take place?
$2 million.
Yes, I spoke about it here in front of you.
Right.
And he said he doesn't know anything about it.
Correct.
It's from the Treasurer Department to you on June 1st in email to all of you, the mayor and the assistant. So I appreciate it if you guys look into it and see where this number came from and why it is an official email from the treasurer to all of you and the administration. Next thing, I'm going to talk to my two friends, Tom and Ray. Both of you, you fought to put some money for the police, fire, and all the government employees on the side who worked during COVID. I hope that you do not forget this, and I am sure that Ray and Tom have good intention, and I hope that both of you come to an agreement to a number and you vote on it next time, because our employees who came and exposed their life to COVID, and some of them got COVID and got very sick, they deserve to be compensated. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience?
Mohammed Gianni, Dearborn Heights, Evangeline. It's been a while since I've been up here, but I heard some good things tonight, and I just want to make things simple for those that are listening and those that are here tonight. My two subjects is the water bills. Is it my understanding we're getting new meters?
That was an initial proposal from multiple years ago, and then there was bonds put out. And it's, for right now, Mr. Dibb, it's been kind of put on the side while some of the expenditures went to some of the street replacements that we needed.
Okay, so
I'll have Mr. Dibb answer you at the end if you'd like. Go ahead.
yeah, I was wondering when that's going to happen, because Mr. Muscat's been fighting for that for years. A couple of years ago, I had a $1,400 water bill myself. This last water bill is over $500, and it's like useless for me to fight it because I'm not going to win it, but something has to be done. And I know you guys keep going over it. My second clarification needs to be with the crosswalk. I know there was mention again of the crosswalk. I'm talking specifically about Crestwood between across gully by your house, by my house, and so on. School's about to start. Where are we at with that?
How about the crosswalk across Crestwood Heights?
I know.
Okay, so let me have you, Mr. Jan, finish your questions, then we'll have Mr. Dibb.
I think it was a couple months ago, we got the funding. On top of that, I think it was the last meeting, what the state representative came up and said, we got $10 million for the fire. That's been almost condemned. I use my own words. And now that that's going to be gone, my initial vision for this was to use their light instead of taking it down. There's nothing wrong with that structure, and use it as a crosswalk, but we went a little different direction. And I wanted to know when that's going to get done. Again, school's 30 days away. Can you come up and elaborate on that for me, please?
Thank you, Mr. Janney.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start with the first one, the water meters. So they're just a little bit of history, and I'm sure we all remember 2019 is when the bonds were sold by the city to finance a number of projects. And these projects were $25 million, I believe.
2021.
It was including the cost of money. It was approximately 27 is what I was told. But the number of projects that were supposed to finance based on estimates from 2019, again, that was before my time. So 5 projects were identified by the city, funded by revenue bonds. The bonds were sold, the money was put aside, and the project started. So on project number 3, the money, the estimate and the cost of the projects didn't match. So we're short. That's why the other projects were not awarded, because there wasn't enough money left to fund them. So there were 2 choices left to finish the projects. One is to sell more bonds, or to take more debt, or to do what we're doing and find alternative sources that we don't have to pay back. And that's what we're doing. So the minute we have a short funding on those 2 projects. One of them was the water meters, and one was the L41 CSO project. So we have preliminary approval. The minute we have actual money in the bank, these projects will be started.
When do you expect that?
So we're pushing as far, but this is state money.
It's not.
It's not.
Well, Ray's been talking about it for the last, 5 years? At least 5 years?
Well, I was talking about separate meters, but also with new meters.
Is this gonna help the residents as far as
So the idea for.
what's gonna happen?
Okay,
with
so
those?
the project is to replace all the water meters that we currently have in the service, which are outdated and they're not smart meters. The new meters will be remotely read, smart meters. They will report, they're just like the DTE meters, but they'll be made for water. So they're needed. Yes, they are needed.
Are they gonna help save the consumers money?
They're more accurate.
Okay, so they are accurate, 100% accurate. Let's step back. Now, the cost of water on your bill is not large, it's not 100% due to water. If you look at your water bill, you're paying debt service, you're paying sewers. Sewers are totally separate issues. So sewer agreements are currently being looked at too, because we have sewer obligations that we entered into as a city. Again, we're looking at all the reasons for why the cost of water, you call it water bill, I call it water sewers, but that's what it is. So it's the large chunk of your water bill is the sewers.
And there's nothing we could do about that.
We are trying. So we are working with the sewer treatment plants. Have the day today was with them on the reason for the cost increases. They're constantly increasing costs. And yes, we have to process sewers, obviously.
Okay.
So we are working on a way to try to mitigate that, but that's the main. So part of the water costs, less part is the sewer.
Okay.
What about the crosswalk?
Crosswalk is, so we've got the grant approved last year for but that was for 24. That's for 24. So we're working with MDOT through SEMCOG. They provide the money to pay for it. We have the design. As soon as we receive money, I can't put the project out to construction if money is not
So
available.
it's not gonna be done before this year starts.
We're probably not.
Oh, I was under the impression.
It's not our money. It's government money. So I mean,
How much money does it, is it?
150,000.
150,000?
Yeah.
So why can't the city fund it if it's gonna get back? Why can't you do it
Oh,
before?
you're not supposed to. If you start the construction and fund it, the money's gone. That's how it works. Any grant is that way.
So we're still not gonna get any paved or white or yellow crosswalks done and kids are gonna start school in September and it's gonna be chaotic as usual.
It's a grant money. I don't.
You guys can't do something?
But I'm sorry, Mr. Jenny, I mean, I allowed him to answer you, but I can't keep going back and forth too long. If you'd like, you can leave your name and number and Mr. Dib would be more than happy to call you. But I do see Mr. Janney's recommendation, maybe it ought to be looked into. I drive on that street. I mean, kids just run right across Beach daily. Some sort of I think what Mr. Janney is recommending, some sort of a temporary, anything.
Give people a walk, do the crosswalks on school.
Yeah.
Crosswalkers.
Okay.
So I just want you guys to know, I have some good, I have
There's more
some.
to it than a light because the light goes with a controller and the controller, you have the ramp. The ramps have to be ADA from the sidewalk to the street. So there's more to it than just a flashing light.
No, but he's talking about either have a crossing person, anything.
Okay.
Cross guard. Okay.
It's different.
Next up, anybody else?
Chief Hart is on, he has his hand up, so I think.
Chief Hart, okay, Chief Hart, if you don't mind, I don't know if he's referencing somebody that just spoke. Chief Hart, did you want to speak? Chief Hart, unmute yourself, please.
All right, I think I got it now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I was gonna sneak out and see my grandbaby. So it's my understanding that there has been some comment that people feel all of a sudden that we're gonna combine police forces or what have you with the city of Dearborn. Is that the comment that was made?
Correct. That's what the perception is.
So if I misspoke or misled anyone, that's on me. We're simply talking about combining some services, just like we've joined forces with them in the last couple months on an auto theft task force. We're talking about creating a cross-department group of individuals who'd be trained in accident investigations. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with, us contracting with Dearborn for police services or whatever was mentioned. So I hope I can clarify that.
Yes, thank you, Chief. And as I mentioned, I myself as the council chair I've never seen any conversation, email, text, or anything along that lines of combining. So I don't want to get that rumor built. There's nothing on that.
This is strictly trying to work together on a specialty service to better serve both communities.
Okay.
We will both benefit from it.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. No problem. Thank you.
Hello,
Next
Stephanie
up, city
Butler,
street name, please.
Dearborn. So I wanted to come up and talk about the police and the difference in hiring and retaining police. So we all know that police are very important. They're the backbone of our towns. Everything rides on the safety of our communities. Everything, home values, people wanting to be here. Everything rides on it. Why would anybody want to come and work in Dearborn Heights for $40,000 starting pay? And it would take you more than 10 years to get to $67,000 according to Indeed.com. Okay. Dearborn starts at $68,000 a year. That's starting pay. Okay. And it gets worse. Warren, $60,000 a year. Flint, $59,000. Livonia, $59,000. Detroit, $54,000. Wayne, $54,000. We're like at the bottom of the barrel here. We are showing that we are 20% below the national average of pay for police officers. We have got to do something to make sure that the streets are Ray, you can shake your head. It's not.
I'm sorry, but if I could get a job that would pay me $60,000, $70,000, and $80,000 when I'm retired, I'd love to have it. I'd love to have it.
Become a cop. We need more.
Like I said, to make $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, I had never made that kind of money.
That's what our officers get paid, and I know that
the officers get paid retirement $60,000, $70,000, and $80,000 retired on top of Social Security. Remember that.
Okay. What's the point here?
Well, you're saying that they don't make any money.
$1,000.
Years ago, and I'm gonna try to get this. Years ago when I started working, we all looked forward to longevity and having retirement and having benefits. That's what we look for. Okay. Then all of a sudden, I don't know what has happened with the world, but everybody wants to go from job to job to job to get more upfront money. I didn't catch that comment, but
Joe Biden, I said.
They want upfront money now and not forget about the back end. So for us to afford paying upfront money, we have to start looking at what they get in the back end. And that's called collective bargaining. We're forgetting about the fact of collective bargaining. And when they sign their contracts, they're saying, we like this contract, we approve it. So what do you want us to do? Say, no, we don't want that.
No, what I'm saying is
that's how it works.
To try to live off $40,000 a year in this economy.
But
and you can't even think about your retirement, right? It costs you $1,000 to get groceries a month now.
Again, I'm telling you, it's collective bargaining.
I understand.
Okay, so we don't do collective bargaining.
I get it, but I'm saying what is to incentivize me if I was a police officer to come to this city compared to because right now you can't think about retirement because everything costs too much. The water bills, the mortgages. I mean, how do you live?
Let her finish her thoughts.
So, yeah, now I'm off track. But what I wanted to say too is that this honorable body, you need to start taking control back of your meetings. I've heard derogatory comments from the chief of staff directed towards you. Now the corporation council calls you misinformation and rumors and this and that in front of your constituents. That's embarrassing. And we should never allow them to speak to you and degrade you in that manner at your own meetings. It's embarrassing. And they need to learn how to talk to you guys because you guys run the city, not anybody else. This is a responsibility of you guys and you're respectable people. To sit up and call you liars, that bothers me. That really bothers me. I know a lot of you personally. So I just think that, Dave, I love you. You're so nice though. You're so nice.
Thank you.
But I just feel like it riles me up to hear the way that they talk to you. That bothers me. So I would like to see more respect coming for this body. So thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So today or
I'm
tonight.
sorry, city street name. Apologize.
I'm going to tell you. So tonight, I identify as Haas Cash, the public activist.
Okay, street name,
Here I
street and
am,
city.
Garden City. Okay, so I was going to ask to suspend the meeting to put a motion on the floor for me to talk to the mayor over a post that one of his very close friends made. And I'm going to read it. It took all of 2 seconds to deny the recall from Jackass Abdullah dipshit. This post was meant to show just how quick the special ed guy would be deployed by his handlers. Now I'm going to speak as a mother of an autistic child. Who's going to hold the mayor and his goons accountable? Because special ed is what? My son's brilliant. He's smart. Hell, I paid over $1 million in his therapy because I wanted him to have the best chance. And people like Fawaz has no idea who in the hell I am. He owes the special education and Dearborn Heights parents, children, an apology. Very uncalled for. Me and Stephanie have been with Dearborn. I have to give you guys props. I give you guys more than what I can give my city at this time because at least you guys are respectful. But for the mayor to walk out to not hear the citizen participation, that shows the lack of respect that he has for his community. You have people contacting us for help. You have people from both sides of the aisle joining forces. It's never happened before. People are fed up. We're sick of it. We want the change. We need the change. You guys are elected to be our voice. You guys are elected to hold the mayor accountable. Somebody needs to start doing it. You guys are the voice of the people. So please have him issue an apology, and I would really appreciate it because that was like a low blow. I know Cash can get rowdy sometimes, but I'm the one that holds my friend accountable, not nobody else. And that right there, he better hope that none of his kids or grandkids or great grandkids ever have a disability because he just put farmland on stuff.
Okay, anybody else in the audience?
Good evening. My name is Margaret King, Mayfair Street, Dearborn Heights. I was absolutely thrilled to hear that we have 11 schools crosswalks done. Thank you. Again, we have 6 more to go. We're getting closer. Is there any other meetings that have been held as far as the safety meetings, as far as the schools crossing goes?
We'll let you finish your questions, then we'll answer them.
Thank you. The speed bumps, reflective tape signs, solar lights, the beacon lights. Any future meetings, again, I said at the last meeting, I would like to attend, please. Overall, especially with the tragedies that happened, the 2 accidents. Police chief, if you're here, could you help me out? Could we get together and have a Dearborn Heights put on something to teach these children, the parents, the community itself, to keep these children and our community safe, crossing at the crosswalks? No more crossing in the middle of the street. Come on now. Lives matter. Like, do something. And I have been working with the schools and trying to get to each school to have them as well teach and put on an assembly with the police chief or the officers to keep these children safe so they know. That's all I have for today, and thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. King, just to let you know, on my way here today, it was like 4:30ish. I get to the corner here at Fenton and George. There's a school there. And I know school's not in, but at Midway and Fenton, Guy just blows a stop sign, didn't even try to stop, gets to the corner here of George and Fenton. There's a school there, like I said. Didn't care about the stop sign, just made his right-hand turn and headed down toward Telegraph. And I'm just amazed. And it's broad daylight, stop signs are visible. People just.
It starts with our community and we need to get together and band together and get.
And that's why I want these fines to be doubled and tripled.
But the ones working on that is Chief Hart and Director Conrad, and they're both on here, and Mr. Deep. So
Okay.
Mr. Deep will follow up with them and continue to keep this on our radar.
Just the transparency, communication is key. Like, I just want to be in the known. This is dear and close to my heart. And hearing about those 2 accidents yesterday just ripped me apart. Like,
Can you bring us some sort of an update, Mr. Deep, at the next council meeting, if you don't mind?
Thank you, Mr. Deep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience? All right. All right. So being a council member, as you know, one of my rules, you guys say if you're speaking as a council member or as a resident?
As a resident, Tom Wenzel, 2 Lane Street, Dearborn Heights.
Okay.
I know Councilman Wenzel wanted to say something, but he forgot to read it on his notepad there, but I'm just speaking up for him. It's been brought to my attention again, and I've checked it out, that our city council meetings are not being broadcast on public access. And that's a shame, because I get several calls after, right tomorrow morning, I'll start getting the calls again, where we can get a chance to watch some meetings. And it was, I kind of set people up last meeting, and I said that, I made them, they said that it was a Comcast issue, and I knew it wasn't, because AT&T and WOW all have the same problem. So it's on our end. And we can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to put new key card readers on our buildings, but we can't solve a problem by letting our residents watch these meetings. It's a shame. Thank you.
Councilman?
Yeah.
I spoke with Angela today.
Yeah.
And she said that there's a fiber optic cable that's been broken, and a fiber optic cable has to be replaced. Now, I'm only telling you what I was told, okay? They have to decide of where to run a new cable. They've isolated the break, running it through the wall, which they don't think they can, or the ceiling. But if the ceiling has asbestos, now we got to get it clean. I think it's all lame myself. It should have been fixed a long time ago, but that's what I was told. Mm-hmm. So I just want to let you know what I was told.
Other programs are being.
Yeah, but I spoke to Angela today.
Other programs are being broadcast on public access, and why can't they just record it and then play it?
Very simply, all these should be on television. Period. We went in 1960 to the moon, so there's no reason why this stuff can't be fixed this fast.
1965. I was there. The moon.
Okay.
Council Chair. Yeah, and it was, when I first brought this up about meetings being broadcast, though, one of our honorable councilmen disputed in saying that we don't have to broadcast these meetings. And he couldn't have been more wrong, because there is something, it's in our PEG fee contract. It's part of the money that our residents pay to the PEG fund. And one of the stipulations in that contract is that we broadcast our city council meetings. So we're actually breaking the law right now by not broadcasting these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wenzel. All right, next up, we're gonna, without seeing nobody else here in the audience that's coming up, we're gonna go ahead and go to Zoom. Director, you've already spoken. This is a public comment. So unless you're speaking as a resident, Director Jamal. All right, Hattie was next. Hattie, can you please unmute yourself?
Yes.
No, Hattie, please. Hattie, can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, it wouldn't let me. It said the host had to. But can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. Hattie Sala, West Pleasant Ridge Street, Dearborn Heights. So I'm just commenting first off about how there's no public pools at all in Dearborn Heights other than, the splash pads on Silvery Lane. And this was brought attention to my mom because she just recently registered my younger sibling at Dearborn's public pools, and she had to pay $170 for yearly. And I was just trying to see maybe if the city can, if they have any new plans to probably build a pool or something, because a lot of these Dearborn Heights residents have to go to Dearborn just to go to an actual pool. You know what I'm saying? Especially like Levergood. And the only thing we have to offer is just splash pads. So I don't know who I'd have to go to pertain to for development probably of a pool, or I just thought to bring that up. That's first off. And second of all, who installs the emergency equipment on the police department vehicles?
Okay, we'll answer your questions at the end if you don't mind, sir. But you said your question is, I just want to make sure I'm clear. Who installs the emergency equipment on the police department's vehicles? Is that correct?
Yeah. The reason I'm asking that is because I noticed out of all the units, the gray Explorer with the traffic unit, the ghost livery, that one seems to only have the rumbler, and I just feel like it doesn't make sense. Out of all the police departments, that vehicle is the only one that's able to cut response times way faster than all the other police vehicles. Because yesterday at the accident that was going on Warren and Telegraph, that unit was able to respond very efficient, clearing intersections, unlike other police department vehicles that do not have the rumbler.
They don't have what?
So there's a rumbler feature. I don't know if maybe the chief of police can explain it to you. It's a rumbler.
He's not here at this point unless he comes back on.
What feature? What's it do?
What's
this feature do, Hetty?
Okay, so usually some police departments, they equip their vehicles with a rumbler tone that basically allows them to, it has a vibrating noise with the siren tone that they play. And that unit, the gray Explorer, is the only one that has it. And it just doesn't make sense why out of all the police department vehicles, only that one has that specific tone, which helps clear intersections faster. And I believe it should be applied to all emergency vehicles. And if anything, not just for the police department.
Okay. I mean, the chief will be hearing this, and this is something that's beyond above our pay scale. So I'm not sure what exactly it is, but I'm sure the police chief will hear it. Maybe our corporation counsel, if he's going to be seeing them, maybe can mention it.
We can mention it too.
But he'll be seeing this either way.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Eddie. And was there anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you for participating. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I wish I could be in person, but I'm currently out at the moment.
No, it's okay. Love activism. Thank you.
Of course, yeah.
All right. Director Jamal, are you speaking as a resident or as a director? Because this is the public comment section. On once?
First of all, I'm responding to my friend, family man, councilman, Tom Wenzel, the asbestos for the tires.
Okay, director, remember, like I mentioned, you guys speak. Are you speaking as a director or are you speaking as a resident?
Why you are so worried about
because this is the public. Because director,
worry about the answer, please.
I understand.
Council Wenzel, the tiles are cleared from asbestos. It's already in process. Thank you.
Thank you.
That works. Thank you. Anybody else in the audience and anybody else on Zoom?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Baidoon, seconded by Councilman Muscat. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
What's that? Oh, it's not.